Hello and welcome to Lost in Chronologically Lost, episode 35, where we get my favorite episode because we find out that Charlie is going to die.
I knew you'd like that whole
Okay,
plot line.
I had to say it, but he has been getting better.
Yes, and just to make a correction from last week, I accidentally did some bad math with the 100 days, and I accidentally said they would leave on Christmas. 100 days is actually New Year's Eve, so I was a little off there. Same, still a winter holiday, just slightly different. So don't come at me for that, even though this is coming at you a week later, and you probably already have. Um,
Well, yeah, that's going to be immortalized.
yeah. So where do we begin with these episodes, Matthew?
Well, we begin with, I just want to say these were great episodes. I think that's where I should begin.
Oh, absolutely. I was worried because I knew the island part of the Thailand episode was coming up, and I was like, oh no, we might be in for not a great one. But they paired it with some other really great content, so it worked out.
And I don't think that was that bad without its flashbacks. It wasn't, like, amazing, but I think the flashbacks were the real low point of that episode. That was just kind of like, yeah, it progressed the plot a little, nothing crazy. And, like...
Yeah, though I will have a thing
Yeah.
to say about this entire plotline now that it's over.
Yeah, I think
once we get there.
I got a lot of entertainment value just out of like seeing like, hey, it's the Thailand episode. I'm so excited. We're finally there. That kind of made it for me.
Yes.
Anyway, we start with Hurley and Charlie are going through Sawyer's stuff, finding a ton of porn. And Desmond is like, come with me. And they go and find that Echo is dead.
Yes, and then Desmond gets a future thing and just immediately sprints off to go save Claire. So the flashbacks for this were obviously Desmond time traveling. Like,
yeah,
his
I was
thing of the
really
future.
thinking for a while. Like, I've gotten so many bits of Desmond over the last few episodes that it's been very disconnected that I was starting to lose track of like what is part of the Desmond episode and what isn't, and what what order does it take place in. But after this one, I was like, okay, it seems like we finally got the full Desmond episode.
Yeah, and some of this is episodes are jumbled together, but it was kind of easy to differentiate the episodes, at least for me, because I knew that it was, main island stuff, that was the Desmond episode, and the Hydra Island stuff, that was the other episodes.
Yeah. Well, it's not even like tell which parts of this were the Desmond episode, so much as like the parts with Desmond in the last few episodes, were those part of the Desmond episode or just bits he had during other people's episodes?
Yeah, so the thing is, some of them were and some of them weren't, so it's hard to
that's
track.
that's what was tricky for me, but now we're past that.
Right, so Hurley's
Anyway,
like, okay, so Desmond can see the future, that's how he knew to go save Claire.
Yep. And I mean, I think if you were smart, which I'm not, you could have figured out now that it was really Charlie he was saving, not Claire, but I didn't connect it until way later. Well, until they revealed it. But it definitely like makes sense, and this right now is in line with that.
Yeah, so then we have a scene where, Claire shows up and is like, oh, thanks for saving my life and everything.
and
Charlie
Charlie
stares because, of course, there's another man talking to Claire.
Remember it with Locke, who like obviously wouldn't be a romantic interest with someone decades younger than him, but he was still jealous.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, we know Desmond does like a blonde.
Yeah, but Desmond is one of those people who loves a person so much, like now he's penny-sexual.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah. He's solely focused on Penny. But does Charlie even know that, though? I don't think he does.
No. I mean, he gets shown later, I think.
Yeah.
Does he?
Okay.
Anyway,
I think he'll learn about it later, yeah.
Yeah, so then Jack is, getting ready. He says Juliet has to do whatever he says. And Ben asks Jack if he gets nervous. Jack doesn't, which is nice compared to the whole story that gets referenced in a bit.
I also like to take this scene as, like, obviously he's a very skilled doctor, and he has the whole count to 5 story and everything. But I also like to take this as a thing where he's not nervous because he doesn't care if he doesn't do it right.
Oh, Yeah. Now, there's one little thing I wanted to point out, and that's uh, Ben asking Juliet if Alex asked about him, where it just feels like they don't even know where Alex is right now. Which is like, Alex is constantly rebelling, constantly doing shit, and yet she's constantly escaping. They're not even keeping her locked down. Like, it's just kind of silly
Well, because
that
she's Ben's daughter. Ben's not going to
Yeah,
put
but
his own
she-
daughter
she-
in a cage.
she keeps getting away with it.
Well,
Anyway,
that's what happens when you're the cult
Anyway.
leader's daughter.
they put Ben to sleep, and Danny is really salty that they put Ben's life in the hands of Jack. And Danny then gets to Sawyer and Kate, and as I pointed out, they had sex outside the cages, so someone's gonna get there and be like, what the fuck? And yeah, Danny's just like, oh, you should have tried to escape. And yeah. And then Jack makes his move, he cuts Ben, punches someone, tells him back away, pulls down his mask, which is a big no-no these days, but it's like, yep, I cut his kidney sack, if I don't stitch it up, he dies, so you get me the walkie-talkie. This is awesome. This is hardcore. This is way better than Juliet's plan of just killing Ben. I was so concerned with like, oh, is Jack gonna be able to save him or not? I underestimated Jack. I am so happy he thought of this.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So then Danny is like right about to shoot Sawyer when they get the call from Tom, and Jack yells at Kate to just run and just leave. And then that scene continues immediately after. But I will say, the scene of Jack yelling at Kate to run, it then cuts to black, and then there was a 3-month hiatus.
Wait, oh, that was the end of the episode?
Yeah, that was the end of an episode.
Oh. Oh, god damn.
Yeah,
I thought the Jack
annoying
I thought-
cliffhanger to wait
I
months
thought
for.
I thought the Jack surgery was an episode.
Well, it mostly is, but just the very beginning of the surgery is the end of an episode.
I did not realize that was happening. I like it better this way.
Yeah, it's it's much better. To be fair, I do like the original ending when you can binge the original series and just immediately go to the next episode.
I mean, it was definitely, it was a good scene.
But in the original, where you had to wait 3 months for the next episode, that would be fucking annoying, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, I have a comment on Danny. It
Is it
still
that
is
he's ugly?
really... What? That's your words, not mine. It's still very dumb of Danny to want to kill Sawyer, who had nothing to do with killing his wife. What Danny should have done is tried to kill Sun, because then Jin could beat the shit out of him, and that would be like a great sequence of events.
Yeah, but that would require Jin and Sun to do something in these episodes.
It's been a while with them.
Yes.
Jack is just, pulling all these power moves, saying you're going to have an hour head start. He wants her to tell the story eventually. And, yeah, they're on an island. That's not good.
Yeah, Juliet's like, they're not going to escape because we're on a smaller island. And then Jack is like,
Yeah.
well, you're the one who wanted me to kill Ben.
Yeah.
So any idea
And
what
then,
the flashbacks for this one were? Now that we're
I'm
in
pretty sure they were
surgery?
Juliet flashbacks.
They were, indeed.
I think it's... I'm not sure. I mean, I think there's like 2 main ones, and I'm not sure which.
Yeah, so these were the earlier ones where she is recruited to
Okay.
come to the
Okay,
island.
so we don't get the Goodwin romance yet.
No, that is...
Yeah, that makes sense that that's something they would have thought of later.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, we have some cool action because Sawyer punches Danny, Kate slaps the other guy. Somehow the other guy is knocked out, and yet Sawyer has to keep fighting Danny. And then Sawyer slams Danny's head into the electricity button and shocks him, and that's just great action choreography.
Oh, I love to see it.
Anyway,
So they're running, they're looking for a boat.
Yeah.
And the others are catching up to them because obviously... but luckily,
yeah.
Alex saves them.
Yeah, and it's like Sawyer even runs out of bullets, and yet the slingshot is to the rescue.
Hey, a slingshot is better than a gun with no bullets. Let's be real.
Yeah, and they even got the gunshot hit the radio out of Kate's hand, and that was not good. But it came back to her eventually, but that made me worry.
Yes.
But anyway, Alex has this little underground hole that's very convenient.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
I mean,
well, she's
not
already had
even.
all this stuff prepared to try and rescue Carl, so might as well
Yeah,
use it for a
I mean,
different
not
rescue.
not convenient in a plotting way. Just literally, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
At this point, one of the predictions I had was that they do get away, but they don't have the radio. So then the others have to be like, "Please, Jack, I swear they did get away. Save Ben." But that's not how it went.
Yeah. So then Ben wakes up from the anesthesia, which the only explanation is that Jack
No.
isn't an
Yeah,
anesthesiologist. Which,
yeah,
sure.
I like that. Yeah. Alex also wants them to rescue Carl, who is cringe, but then Ben, compliments Jack for the cleverness of this plan and wants to speak to Juliet. And Jack ends up letting it happen because Ben is about to die anyway. And we see Jack and Tom making small talk, which is kind of
It's
funny.
hilarious, yeah.
Tom is fun. You know, Ben is that
Sometimes he's
really
fun, and sometimes he's enraging.
Oh yeah, but like Ben is that really like off-putting, like comes off like a serial killer villain. The way he talks feels like he didn't have a proper social upbringing.
Well, he
which,
didn't,
is
so.
true. So it fits well, but he's definitely that someone where like talking to him makes you uncomfortable. Tom is that charismatic villain. Tom is like the guy who you feel like you can sit down and have a beer with until he says something that makes you want to punch him in the face.
Yes. So then Juliet comes back and asks Jack to save Ben, and so that she will go help Kate and Sawyer, which is like
Yeah.
just the mind games that Ben can play with people is.
Yeah.
So then,
And then
Alex.
she looks at the cameras, she sees Alex going, and we get Alex, they go into someone, and that guy is reading the Stephen Hawking book while he guards. But then, yeah, they do
whole
the
fake prison
classic
thing.
maneuver. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Sawyer just tackles the guy, and Kate is definitely just about to shoot him in the knee.
Yeah, I do like that. Sawyer's like, "Oh, that was a good con," and she's like, "It wasn't. I was gonna shoot him."
Yeah. I feel like I recognize the actor.
He is from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes, okay, yes. I haven't really watched that show, but I mean, I've seen it around.
Yeah,
Yes, that is the guy.
Oh, I think only maybe season 1 or maybe season 2 had started, and he was a fan of the show, so they gave him this bit part.
Huh, oh, I thought it was something like, oh, this was an early role he got before his big break, but Yeah.
See, I still I think It's Always Sunny had started, because what are they in now? Season 15?
Yeah.
It would have, like, just started by the time they were doing this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why he was familiar.
Yeah, so...
Anyway,
then we see
they
that
get
Carl is
into
being
Carl's
tortured
room. This
Clockwork
is
Orange
just
style.
a meme. This just came off kind of cringe to me.
Yeah.
Like when you actually look at the images they're forcing him to see, it's like, what even is this, man?
It's just a torture device, honestly.
I know. It's torturous because you would go insane being exposed to that, but it's not like it's gonna brainwash you or anything.
Yeah, there will be some, like, supplementary thing that explains why they have this, but it makes no sense.
Yeah. So they stare at it for a little while for some reason, and then they get him
Well,
out.
Sawyer stares at it. Kate and Alex are on the jump.
Yeah. It works on people with low brain power.
Exactly. So then Juliet shows up to tell Danny that they're letting them go, but he's like, "Oh, I don't believe you," which is like, well, it's weird because at this point we don't know if that's true what Ben said, but then, like, that is what Ben said. So
Yeah, except
That's
that doesn't work out for Juliet.
no, it just doesn't work out for Juliet.
But to be fair, maybe Ben didn't expect her to have to kill Danny to do it.
Yeah. So then we get to Jack actually doing the surgery and actually making a real mistake.
Yeah.
Which was fun. I do love Tom's reaction of like, "Isn't that what you already did?" Like,
Well, first he nicked a kidney sac, now he nicked an artery.
yeah.
But now they get to the boat, and
Juliet
Carl
shoots
is like,
Danny.
Danny's here. And yeah, Juliet just shoots him, because Juliet is awesome. And it's great when Juliet shoots people, I gotta say. We got some of that in season 5, I think.
Yeah. And she doesn't let Alex leave because she says, "Hey, Ben's gonna be extra angry if you aren't here, so you have to stay."
Yeah, that's fucked up. But Carl does get to leave.
Yeah. And Kate radios, and they do a nice scene where she
Yeah,
tells
I
the
don't
story to
know.
Jack.
I don't know. They played this scene as this really emotional, powerful thing, and that kind of worked because I get that it's like it's an emotionally significant moment, both the story and just what they're doing right now, saying goodbye. But it didn't really make sense to me because if I was in that situation, I would have given Jack the quick version so we could get away as quickly as possible.
Yeah, but it's also the thing of there's a still love triangle thing, and that's the big connection with Kate and Jack, so they have to
Yeah.
play this out just to make her feel extra guilty later and everything, you know.
At a certain point, like, the love triangle is cringe, and, like, Sawyer's an awful choice. But by now, Kate has just spent so much more time with Sawyer than with Jack that now when they do try to do a Kate and Jack scene, it doesn't, like, even feel that romantic. Where, like, I prefer it, but the show isn't even putting in the time.
Yeah, so he makes her promise not to come back, which she's
That's
gonna
a good
try and
idea.
she's gonna try and renege on like immediately.
Yeah. And then he turns off the walkie.
Yeah, and then Kate and Sawyer they sail away. They got out. They
Yeah. And then Jack, he asks Julia to say what Ben said, and he has this whole thing where he says he's owed an answer after everything. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're owed a lot of answer, but I don't know if you're owed this answer in particular because like for all you know, that could have just been Ben talking to Juliet about their personal romantic subtext that Ben perceives. I don't that's kind of their business.
yeah, but it's. I mean, the whole audience wanted to know too, so you gotta.
Yeah. So anyway, she says she could have gone home. Very sad that she ends up in the 70s squad instead of in the go home squad.
Well, again, we saw in the 70s that she had ample opportunities to just leave, but she didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
by that point she was with Sawyer.
yeah,
But I mean, it's kind of sad. Like we never get the her seeing her sister again plot going somewhere. At least not during season 5. Maybe season 6. Who knows?
yeah. So then Kate on the boat is like, we have to turn back, and so he's like, yeah, no, and Carl's also like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
dying,
Sawyer.
so no.
This one is definitely a rare Sawyer correct decision
Yeah.
because it's what the hell would they do?
Yeah, like let's go, let's get Locke and Saeed, and then let's try and figure something out.
Yeah. So then they're taking Jack out of the aquarium, and Tom is kind of like, what kind of people... Like, Jack thinks he's gonna die. So Tom is like, what kind of people do you think they are? Jack points out a bunch of stuff they did, which is great, but he also left out the number of people that were just killed. Like, Ethan killed someone.
Yep.
And definitely,
and then Tom's
he
like, oh,
came-
you people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. It's like, bitch, you have done way worse
No!
things. Don't even.
They killed people in response. Like, they killed Ethan because he was going to kill them. Like,
Yeah.
Charlie came close enough to dying that counts as an attempted murder. Like, the others can claim that they're bringing people who are good a better life because living with the others is better than with the plain gang. You tried to kill Charlie.
Yeah, you tried to kill Charlie, you kidnapped Claire, you stole Russo's baby, you wiped out the Dharma camp. I mean, they don't know that, but they did. Like,
Yeah. Like, literally, the ones in the glass house are the others.
yes. So anyways, he's being moved because Juliet is being put in the aquarium instead.
Yeah, and we're finally getting our Juliet is an ally arc, which I am so hyped for.
Yes. So then, Jack is in this cage, and Tom tries to be like, oh, don't you feel bad? Because they didn't even come and try and rescue you. And he's just like, yeah, I'm not having any of that.
Yeah.
I told them not to.
Yes, like, Jack is smart enough to know, like, what the hell could they do? They did not have weapons. The others have, like, cameras and patrols.
Yeah, and he knows
What
about the
the hell
camera,
would
so
the
he's
plan
not even
be?
going to bother trying to escape.
Yeah, he just says, you got the camera right there. Which is,
Yeah.
For a second I thought, oh, is he just smart enough that he saw it while Sawyer wasn't smart enough? But then I remembered he saw the camera room, as Tom points out.
Yeah. So then Kate and Sawyer have a whole argument about whether or not to make camp for the night, which, again, Sawyer has a good point of, like, we can't navigate in the dark. Let's just make camp.
I feel like you can. You can see
I feel like it would be very hard.
The island is large enough that you can see the silhouette it makes against the stars.
Well, look, from all
Look,
what
Sawyer
I know, sailing
needs
at
to
night is not ideal.
Look, Sawyer needs to slow down the plot. Also, they're canoeing at night, basically. But yeah, Sawyer needs to slow down the plot for the writers. And now we get some more Hurley talking about the future sight that Desmond has. And they get the plan of getting Desmond drunk. They show up, they're like, hey, I'm sorry for not being more grateful. Let's have a drink. And Sawyer very correctly says that... Desmond, I don't know what I'm saying. Desmond very correctly says that he's been drinking too much lately. Charlie, as a drug addict, should have known better than to try to give alcohol to an alcoholic. But then they realize
to be fair,
it's
is
the
Desmond
good
an
stuff.
alcoholic? Because I think for all the years he was living in the Hatch, he wasn't drinking
Okay,
that much
maybe
until
I
he
was-
thought the world was destroyed, and then
Yes.
he hit the sauce.
But even then, he did so much drinking then that I think it was good to take a break. But anyway,
But then it turns
it's
out
the
it's
good
McCutcheon,
stuff.
so
McCutcheon. And
60
he
years.
starts laughing. Now they're going to go for it. I wonder how it was on the plane.
I guess just some person was transporting it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some rich person.
And it's like, yeah, fuck Charles Widmore. Let's prove him wrong.
Yeah. So then...
No.
Then we have a scene where Kate and Sawyer wake up and they think that Carl's deserted them and they're like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? But turns out he just walked 10 feet away to go cry.
Yeah. And then he explains, like, the islands where they live and then Hydra Islands where they work. And then he says some stuff about lying in his backyard with Alex. This is not the show for these stupid-ass, pussy-ass teenagers to talk about how much they love each other. This is not a show that will make me give a shit about that.
You know what's really funny, too, is that when they hired Alex's actress for season 2, I believe she was 17 at the time, so it was pretty close to the 16 Alex is supposed to be. Obviously, as the show goes on, the actor's age and the character's age are gonna be different.
Yeah.
But I think Carl here is like 26, like the actor.
Okay. Then
Like I think the character's also a teenager, but the actor's like 26.
I don't want to be rude, but he has a teenagery face.
He does, yeah. I can
has
see how
that
he got
kind of-
cast.
He has that kind of look where, like, your head is growing, but different parts of it are growing faster than others, so it looks kind of awkward and gaunt, and, like, it's like, oh, you look at him, you're like, it's okay, in a few years your face will look right, but right now you look like a teenager. I'm being rude to a 26-year-old, I'm sorry.
Right, so then we have Jack in the cages trying to... He tries to figure out the mechanism, and he doesn't figure it out, but he also doesn't get shocked like Sawyer did, so...
Yeah. So then Juliet comes and he gets shown the photos, and...
Yeah, that is one
Yeah.
infected wound.
That it is. Need
And
some
then-
antibiotics. Need to
Yeah.
get him Sawyer's stash.
Yeah, he says he will not help, because, I mean, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And then we get Charlie, Hurley, and Desmond singing together. And Hurley asks why British songs are all about drinking, fighting, and girls with one leg.
And a heart of gold.
British people are weird.
I think drinking songs in general are just weird. Have you ever actually heard any of the lyrics to any of them? They're just...
Yeah. So then they finally, Charlie turns up the heat, starts asking about Claire, and the whole I heard her thing is obvious bullshit. And then Charlie brings up the lightning. Desmond avoids the question. Charlie calls him a coward and gets tackled, which is kind of funny.
Yep, and then it turns out that Desmond wasn't saving Claire all those times. He was saving
Yeah.
Charlie, because...
He's crying about how you can't change things. And it's like, yeah, this is happening again because he saved Charlie before, and now, fate is trying to find a way.
Yeah, so, I did tell you that Season 3 Charlie's the best Charlie. And now you can see why, because this is a Charlie who knows he is going to die. Like, you can't avoid this now because
See, it's like Charlie is a main character. I'm so curious because this seems like something you can't write yourself out of. You have to kill him off eventually. And yet I wonder.
they've killed off other main characters.
Yeah, but then I wonder, like, is Charlie, like, are they going to find a way to write themselves out of it? But at the same time, like, I didn't see him there in season 5. I don't know.
Well, you know who else you didn't see in season 5 was Claire. So that's someone else. You also didn't see Sun. Where is she?
Well, I know she's somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is, after Echo dying, purely because of, like,
actor-related stuff.
yeah, I just feel like Lost should try to keep a hold of its main characters that it still has, because you never know when you're going to lose one for reasons you're not ready for.
But you see, I also think at this point they had, like, just, or maybe were just about to get confirmation that they would go 6 seasons, at which point they can then lock all the actors into their contracts for 6 seasons. So
Yeah.
I think they didn't really have to worry about that afterwards because they knew the end date and they could.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me wonder, like, because they kill off characters when they don't know what else to do with them, like Shannon, because they're idiots. But then it's like Charlie is a character you can keep doing things with. And so I'm curious as why they would sort of set up a plotline to call their shot and just say, he's gonna die, where him dying could be, like, a really interesting plot line. But it's just like, are you sure that you're ready to kill him and there won't be any wasted potential for what you could have done with him afterwards? I don't know. That decision befuddles me, but I don't know. Maybe they will write their way out of it.
Yes. So then we move on to the second episode in these things where the other's sheriff reads Jack's tattoos. So,
yeah, we're here.
You know what this
once
episode
again.
is.
Once again, I am just Leo DiCaprio pointing at his TV because we're finally at the other meme flashback.
Yes. So here's a funny thing. First off, Jack's tattoos do not say what. Like, the actual actor's tattoos do not say that. They say something about, like, eagle soaring in the sky. And here's the thing, though. I think that, like, introducing the sheriff character, I thought she was actually, like, interesting. She had a cool dynamic. This is the last... We never see her again after this episode.
Really?
This is it. That's all you get.
Damn. Wow. Lost moment.
Yeah, I think they just really wanted to forget this episode. Like, the mark on Juliet, I don't think that ever comes up again.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, episode about tattoos also has a mark on someone else. Little meaningless connection because it's the fucking tattoos episode.
Yeah, so the sheriff interrogates Jack, to which he lies, but it's, like, such an obvious lie that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then he is in the cage, and the stewardess from the flight shows up, and they're here to watch something, I don't know. And it's like, oh, we're happy, this is good. And the little girl asks how Ana Lucia's doing, and Jack just
I wanted Jack to
screams at
say
them
the others killed her. I wanted Jack to say that so
Oh,
bad.
I wanted to. Okay, yes, the others didn't directly kill her,
They
but
indirectly killed her.
that is on their hands.
Yeah.
Like, these people are like, oh, they took us and they gave us a happy life. Isn't that nice? Aren't we good? And it's like, what? You hate the others? That's so weird. Like, no. They're killers. They killed, Steve?
Scott. They killed Scott.
Scott. Well, the point is, I just gotta point to Scott because that is really the one that they very directly killed. And other personally killed him.
Yes.
And it was all just to threaten them to try and take a pregnant woman. Like, that is just the one that's the most clear example. But anyway, yeah, the others are killers, and these people, they're bootlickers.
Yeah.
Also, they said they're here to watch. Is that probably set up for, like,
They
whatever
were going to
the
go
others
watch
are
the
building?
trial. They were going to go watch the trial of Juliet.
The trial. Why did they care? I don't know.
I think it's just a thing that all the others came to watch.
I guess.
So, I was wrong when I
Anyway.
said before that this is the where Carl was crying. This is now the part where Carl is crying.
Yeah, and
And
Sawyer goes to talk to him and is like, hits him to cowboy up. And Sawyer's like, I thought you people were supposed to be tough, which is an obvious manipulation to make Carl want his approval, because then Carl's like, I am tough. And then Carl doesn't know who the Brady Bunch is.
to be fair, half of Sawyer's references, I find out what they are just from the Lost Wiki, but so many of them are to like a cartoon that aired for 2 years in the 70s, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna know that. Like, I think,
I'm sure plenty of it is like, I didn't even know it was a reference.
yeah, I think like, so most things, I think in the show do age pretty well. I think the one thing that would like really, really age it is just the whole Red Sox thing and the fact that it actually shows up in the show. But I think it's fine because it's like they're on an island, so the technology
Well, the
doesn't
thing is-
really matter.
No,
but
I mean, I think that
Sawyer's
doesn't
references
age-
every year get more and more obscure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Red Sox thing, it doesn't age it, it just dates it, but that's okay. Like, it's a show that takes place in 2004. It doesn't make it awkward to watch now, it just tells you this is a 2004 event.
Yes. So
Anyway, so Carl loves Alex, and Sawyer says, like, oh, you can leave that yawn in the recording because it tells you how bored I am by Carl's romance. But anyway, Carl says, like, if he goes back, he'll die, and Sawyer says, if you love the girl that much, it'd be worth it. Don't take advice from Sawyer.
especially when he just gave the opposite advice to Kate.
It really, really is not the show for this teenage romance. I like a lot of stories about teenage romance. I vibe with that. This is not the time for it. Also, Carl is a giant dork.
To be fair, I will say here is that they never do any like, oh, but I don't know if I actually like her. No, like they are in love and they will remain in love and that's it.
They don't get to be my rock. Rose and Bernard are my
No,
rock.
they don't. I'm not saying
These
they're,
are a
no,
couple
look,
of
I'm not
dorks.
saying they're wrong. I'm saying there's no drama between them. It's just they both mutually love each other and that's it.
And yet they still found a place for angst.
Yeah. Anyway, so then Alex shows up to Jack and is very angry.
Breaks the camera. She breaks the camera. Like, why do they keep letting her get away
I don't
with
think
this?
she broke it. I think she just hit it and it turned away.
Okay, well, they're letting her get away with this. And she wants to know why he saved Ben's life. And Juliet has a verdict, But yeah,
Juliet's
he
gonna be
saved
executed.
Ben because he said he would. And now he goes into Ben's surgery room. I'm not sure how they got in there without being seen.
Well, it's not like a surgery
And-
room. It's like a...
Recovery room.
Yeah.
Either way, it's in a building. Anyway, Ben says they had an excellent surgeon. His name was Ethan. I think that's bullshit.
Well, I think Ethan was a surgeon. I think that's why he showed up in the Juliet flashback, because he was also somewhat medically thing. But here's the thing.
Look, here's the thing. No, here's the thing. In the season 3 opener, when we see, Juliet at the other's village,
He's fixing an electrical thing.
Ethan is doing handyman work.
And
Secondly,
also, here's the
how would Ethan have the time to be like a great surgeon when he's also this woodsman who can keep up with Locke?
And also, here's the thing. Okay, so I can understand Ben, say when the plane immediately crashes, and he obviously sends Goodwin because he wants Goodwin to die. And he just sends Ethan because Ethan's right there and he needs to make a snap decision.
And Ethan's very trustworthy. He
Yeah,
knows he can
that's
rely on
fine.
Ethan.
But there's a part where then Ethan has captured Claire and comes back, right? And then they send Ethan back to go get her again. Why would you send your surgeon to go do that when you only have one? Send someone else.
I think he wasn't the surgeon.
He
Ben
was.
is
Well, when you
delirious.
see, you might have missed it, but in Juliet flashbacks that you've seen, where they're trying to do surgery on pregnant women, he's there with her. He's there with her doing the surgery. So I think he is the surgeon.
Well, it's still a load of
It's
bullshit.
dumb as fuck that they sent him.
Anyway.
You don't send your only doctor to go do these things. I mean, I know the Losties do
Anyway.
that all the time, but they don't have a choice.
Yeah, and Jack's the leader.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jack will stay with Ben to take care of him if they don't execute Juliet. and Ben agrees to it, and they have to bring this paper, and they knock on the door of the tribunal. It's still just, like, funny that, like, Alex and Jack are just running around free and nobody's stopping them.
Well, they're doing this on Ben's orders now, so it's fine.
Yeah, but now they open the door and Tom is just like, holy shit, what's Jack doing here? And he almost attacks him. But, like, I mean, nobody noticed that the camera was turned away.
Well, they were all at the trial.
I guess. But anyway, Ben ordered that Juliet be marked.
And so she is marked. And then shows up to Jack's cage, and they do, like, a weird... I think at this point they were like, okay, it's going to be like Kate and Sawyer, so now we have this new girl for Jack. Obviously, that doesn't go how they expected.
That is not how they expect it to go.
Yeah.
And they come for Jack, and they're going to leave Hydra Island.
Yeah, they're going to go to the actual
Sawyer
main
and Kate know location.
Camp.
So, yeah, and... So Sawyer is happy with letting Carl go, but you know what? I can accept it because he says it's because Carl was a target.
Okay, yeah. And then so Kate is now mad at Sawyer because he keeps just overruling her on every single decision.
Yeah.
Which...
And he's like, you feel guilty because you only had sex with me because you thought that I'd die.
To be fair, that is true.
That is true. I still don't give a shit about this drama.
Yeah. And then we get like a montage of people at night doing things.
Looking at the stars of Carl and Alex. And then Isabel reads the tattoo. He walks amongst us, but he's not one of us. He's the imposter. But no, so apparently the whole tie-in was with, like, him being with the others. Because he's with the others but isn't another. It's not like him being with the Plane Gang but not being one of them, because he is. So, like, somehow the tiger Atra was, like, doing the tattoo.
That's well, like, I think it's meant to be, because then what Jack says is that's what they say, that's not what they mean. I think what the meaning is supposed to be is, like, when he's with the main crew, he's the leader. So he's with them, but he's not one of them, because he... Anyway.
Anyway, it's dumb and stupid.
It's dumb and contrived, and nobody likes it.
Okay, maybe it's stupid, but it's also dumb.
Right.
It's a Patrick Star quote, by the way.
I know. Yeah,
I use it all the
time.
time.
Well versed in the SpongeBob lore.
I know, that's like the one I use most.
Yeah. So then we get a really, really weird scene change, because, okay, I'm going to say it, I think this is in the wrong order. I think that it should have been the scene where they find the plane first before the scene with Charlotte. Because in Charlotte, they have news that the plane has been found.
Okay, it may be in the wrong order, but let me just say, it was legitimately really exciting to me to suddenly get all of these characters and just get all these events with them that I didn't expect and didn't realize would happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I said that these were great episodes. And yeah, the first one was excellent. The second one started with that episode. Still great, because we get all of this. Like, everything from here on, I am loving.
Yes. So, yeah, we get Tunisia. We get a very poorly rendered Tunisia, by the way.
Yeah. And so I'm like, who is this? Is this Penny? It's Charlotte. I was really not expecting that, but I guess we are supposed to get backstories for them eventually. So I think... So Charlotte, she bribes someone to get into the dig, finds this fossil, and it turns out to be a polar bear, and finds a belt or a collar or something with the Dharma symbol. So I think she was investigating the Dharma Initiative.
Well, she was, and here's an interesting thing. So if you...
Oh yeah, she was there as a kid. I almost forgot. Yeah. Well, I did forget.
So... Here's an interesting thing with the whole Tunisia thing, is that, okay, so here's an interesting thing about Tunisia. When you look at Tunisia on a globe, its antipode on the globe is actually, like, just somewhere in the South Pacific. So it's, like, literally, like, the opposite end of the world where this has ended up.
I'm not even going to ask for, like, an explanation. Like, yes, some weird island shit happened. I know the island does things like that. We don't need the specifics.
So there is no official explanation. I think they honestly just picked Tunisia. I think because it is literally the exact opposite end of the world.
Yeah.
But I think there will be a thing where you can piece together a reason for it, and I will explain that when the time comes. Because you have all the pieces but one. So.
All right. But anyway, so I guess because we obviously need a motivation for Charlotte to like, and all the characters to intersect with the plot, and we don't really know what it is for all of them yet. And I want to find out, but I guess it seems like she's trying to investigate what happened to the place she was at as a kid, and that somehow leads her to, the plane and to like, and to, all of this.
Yes.
And then we get somebody who, despite how little of him I got, he is still a favorite character just because he's fun to watch. Miles.
Yeah, so we have the news on the radio as Miles pulls up is saying that all the passengers from Flight 815 are dead.
So it seems like these backstories probably didn't get shown concurrently, and yet them all getting the news at similar times, like...
I believe they were almost all from the same episode.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind then.
I think it was like a thing where each one of them got one single flashback in an episode.
Alright, well, I just like that I'm getting, like, all of these together. And it's nice that they happen at the same time, so I can get them that way. But anyway, he gets a suitcase out of the trunk, he's getting into this woman's house, and he wants 200 in advance. And he's going to talk to the dead kid.
Yeah, and then he just does that to find the kid's cash and drug stash.
He knew the kid had all of that. It's kind of cruel that, like, the actual exorcism to help the grandmother, he doesn't even do anything fancy. He's just like, get out of here, kid. Or you would think that he'd, like, at least try to help someone. But as a hustle, it's pretty good.
Especially, it's just weird because it's like he can talk to ghosts, but not in, like, a talk to ghosts kind of way. He can only know their last moments. Like, it's not that helpful, but...
Yeah. Hurley's is better.
Hurley's is way better, but it hasn't manifested as of yet. Unless you count Dave, if that's a thing.
Yeah. So then, but Miles, good attitude, and then he gives half the money back to the grandma, says the kid's at peace now, but he's just really about the money.
Yeah, well, why does he need the 200 when he got the, thousands from the thing? So. Yeah. Then Desmond is watching some news about Flight 815 being discovered.
Daniel.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yes.
Ocean drone found the plane, and wow, he is really, really fallen to pieces. In several ways, I really did not expect how much he fell to pieces here.
Well, that is, the whole memory thing that he was testing on those rats? He tested it on himself. That's why he's like this.
And it messed him up.
Yes.
Man, that is sad. And he lost his position. He's now has to live being taken care of at home. And he's just so sad.
But, hey, we know he will become, smart genius Daniel again later. So the island will fix him, I guess.
Yeah. We probably got this backstory for him originally, and then we found out later he used to be this genius. It's sad for me to just see, Daniel and Charlotte and know, they're gonna get killed. I'm not gonna get that much with them.
No, you're sadly not. Your time with them has been split.
Yeah. But at least there's Miles.
Yeah. So Widmore faked the whole plane wreckage because...
Yeah, because he wants to be the one to find the island.
Yes.
At first I thought this might be something where he's working with the others, but no.
No, he's probably against the others.
And I don't know what he's going to do with it, but we find out later it's going to be bad.
Yes.
So he's funding this tanker and he's sending a group of people, which all these characters are going to end up on it. And I think it's in part because Penny found the location, I think. Is that connected?
I believe so. I think that's the only way he could really know, but then also, I don't know. It's complicated. We'll get to it.
Yeah. So then he explains to Daniel it will heal him. He's old friends with his mom, and like, yeah, Daniel's gonna forget this conversation. And then we get someone who looks like an old hippie that I don't think I know.
Yeah, so you don't know him. This is a pilot. I don't think the show tells you his name. I'll just say it. His name is Frank Lapidus.
Lapidus.
Yeah, we just call him Lapidus. He instantly recognizes that the plane is fake because he knew the pilot who flew A-15. And how does he know the pilot? Well, because he was supposed to be flying A-15. So.
And, he was like, oh, he would have had his wedding ring. So I don't know where this is going to go. Like, he is kind of revealing to the media that it's not the real one.
Well, it wasn't, as soon as he did that, they clicked him over to, like, a more secret line. So.
Yeah. But I guess I don't really know where that's going to lead. I don't know what he's going to do. But anyway,
it'll be interesting. When Jacob wants someone brought to the island, they end up on that island.
Yeah. So then Daniel is playing piano, and his mom comes in, and she says, like, oh, this job needs you. You have to say yes. And he just says, like, he can't do math anymore. And, it hurts.
Yeah, oh no, math. This fool.
You don't even understand the pleasure of doing some deep math and how sad it is to not be able to do it. You don't even.
You know what?
Well,
I can't do it, and I'm very happy. So.
Well, to be fair, he's doing physics, which isn't as satisfying.
Right. So Eloise tells her son that yep, you should go with Widmore, go do this, and then he even asks like, will this make you proud of me? And she says yes, which is just like. Oh, because she's sending him to go die. She knows that this will end in his death. Like, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And then we get Michael, where, man, I knew that we would get some more Michael plotline. I didn't realize we were getting this. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, so he goes to his mother's house, who is looking after Walt, because he wants to see him. And his mom says no for like a million reasons that also fill you in on what they've been doing.
So they come back, but they don't tell the world they're back. They have to use fake names. And then, like, he can't explain where he's been or what's happened. And it's like, yeah, he really can't explain. But she is totally in the right to say, like, yeah, I can't let you near him when you're like this.
Right, and then he sees Walt in the window, and that's Walt's cameo.
Yep.
For a season.
And a great angle that doesn't let you see how old he is.
Yeah. And then
he's pawning his watch, which is the one Jin was supposed to deliver.
Yeah.
Interesting connection. And he wants a gun with bullets.
So that he can shoot himself.
God damn it. And he's in the alley, he's about to do it. Someone shows up, and it's fucking Tom.
Yeah, so this is how we knew when the dates were, because we knew his, attempted car crash suicide had to happen a few days before this. And we know that since Tom comes to visit him here, there was like one small line of dialogue on the island where they mentioned that the sub is back. So Tom had to have then left after the sub was back.
I mean, this also syncs up with just like, oh, the tanker's gonna leave, you gotta get there.
Yeah.
So then, and Michael tries to shoot him, fails, gets a punch in, gets punched, gets pulled up, gets Tom in the head with a bottle, but then Tom has the gun. And Michael just like, alright, shoot me.
Yeah, but Tom is not gonna shoot him. And then he realized that he's like this because he told Walt what he did.
Which is, okay, it's like, in one way, it is like his comeuppance that, like, now
he did all this for his son, but in doing that, he also loses his son.
But on the other hand, Tom is right that it's really fucked up to put that information in your child's mind.
Yeah.
And the island won't let him kill himself. He has work to do, so Tom is waiting for him in the penthouse.
Yeah,
and then we see Michael, he tries to shoot himself, and not even once, like, more than once. It just clicks.
Yeah, again, this does really feel like Final Destination. There's an exact scene in Final Destination where, if anyone doesn't know, the plot of that is that you have to like die in a certain order. and the one guy tries to just kill himself before it's his turn, and he like takes a revolver, and he shoots himself all 6 times, and they're all duds, and they're like, that's literally improbable, but
Yeah.
this is how
And
it is.
I mean, what's also like Final Destination is when Charlie escaped.
Oh,
death
that's
and-
yeah. Again,
yeah.
I mentioned way earlier when that was first brought up that it is a Final Destination thing, that you can avert someone's death, but it'll just come right back around.
Yep. And so Michael then sees the news that the airplane crashed, and he's going to talk to Tom. And so when Tom's in his penthouse, is that his boyfriend or just like an escort?
I could be. I think it's either just an escort or just some guy he picked up. Like he said, when he comes to the
Yeah.
mainland, he likes to indulge himself. And so this was just payoff because people were like, "Oh, Tom must be gay," when he said that Kate isn't really his type, and then they're like, "Oh, yeah, he's gay. That's it." Only
Correct.
only gay character in the show, by the way.
I mean, like I said, at least he's like, he's evil, but he's like the likable villain.
You know what? I will say, considering that he is, one, openly gay, and two, has an on-screen kiss with a man, I think he's actually doing more work than most Disney films that try to be representative.
Hey! Yeah, years ahead of his time.
Yeah, streets ahead.
Streets ahead. Anyway, so he explains Widmore faked it because Widmore wants to find the real one. And he's like, hey, did the bullet bounce off your skull or the gun just jam?
Yeah, and then he says if Widmore finds the island, then everyone's gonna die. So,
Yeah, so, like you told me a while back, they really tried to make Widmore like the ultimate villain.
yes.
They were building to that.
But unfortunately, Widmore isn't magic, so it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
explain everything with him.
And then he gets the proof he asked for, and he's told he has to get on the freighter. And, it's going to the island, he has to get on. And
Yeah, he's gonna be a spy.
he has to kill everyone on the boat. So that explains a whole lot that I didn't know the reasons behind, and that is not what I expected Michael's plotline to be.
Yes, he's gonna be on the freighter.
Like, wow, I thought that he would get some stuff tying him back in, how he was doing in the time in between. Maybe
That's
he
it.
would
This
meet
is all
Ollie.
you get. That's all you get for the time in between.
But that's okay, because we know the freighter is coming up, and we know that, we don't need anything more in between. This explains it all. And, wow, I didn't realize he was being brought into the plot that directly. I mean, I think it's a fair prediction to say that he will die with the freighter. That will probably be his ultimate fate. He will sacrifice himself, and in some levels, it will be another villainous move because, I mean, he's keeping the cast from getting home, but on other levels, it's preventing Widmore's evil. And I think he will probably be happy to die, and it's just that seems like where his plotline will end.
Yeah, they like I said, Michael gets his comeuppance. They're not just gonna let him get away with this and then have a happy life in New York with Walt. No. They rope him back in.
Yeah. So damn, that's one of those things where I had questions, and yet the answers are way more interesting than my questions, which is good, which J.J. Abrams doesn't realize.
If this were J.J. Abrams, they wouldn't explain anything about the faking or what the freighter is. He'd just suddenly appear on the freighter, and then you just have to figure it out.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I feel like all of these together were they were such an info dump of things I didn't realize would be happening that, I don't even know what to say about it other than what I just did. There's just so many possibilities and so many things that make more sense now that I can't even comment on them.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that what you're immediately looking forward to is more freighter content that will be happening on the side.
I actually don't think I'm immediately looking forward to that, just because I know that has to happen, so I'm not in a hurry. I know for sure that I'm going to get that. I don't need it next episode, even though it will be exciting. Whereas what I feel more like is I really want to see, Sawyer and Kate getting back to the base to explain stuff. Jack getting to the other's base and, seeing what that's like, and just, maybe rescuing Jack moving forward as a plot.
Well, I mean, we also have one hanging plot thread left that didn't get touched on this episode, but exists, which is Locke thinking that he has been told to go north from Echo's Jesus stick. So
Still haven't really gotten a ton of the Season 3 Locke you've hyped up. I thought it would happen earlier.
I think it will happen pretty soon. I think it will happen at least in the next 2 episodes we'll be watching.
Okay.
I'm not
that'll be
sure, but I
anyway,
think
so I said I don't need, freighter stuff yet, but I totally want more Miles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look, you have, with the freighter stuff that you have now, you have Miles, you have Charlotte, you have Daniel, and you have Michael. So you have at least 4 characters that are going to be doing things on this freighter.
Yeah. All characters I'm excited to see.
Yes.
And, I got my biggest crossover episode at the actual start of the show, and then I got them meeting the Tailies. But this is my next big crossover episode. Getting these characters who, are a side of the cast I also like, finally meeting the main cast.
Yeah, it will be exciting. I don't really have any more to say about this because, minor spoilers. It'll take a while for the freighter to arrive.
I know 100 days.
Yeah.
And we are not at day 100 yet.
Yeah, so it'll be a while.
I'm not expecting that to be a Season 3 plotline, no.
Yeah, what you've said of everything with Jack in the main others camp, and Kate and Sawyer getting back, and maybe a potential rescue mission. Yeah, I mean they've explicitly said they're going to try and rescue Jack later, so it's not. Yeah. I don't think it's a spoiler to say they're going to try and do the thing they said they were going to do. Yeah.
If they can.
Yeah, I'm not saying whether or not it'll be successful. I'm saying they're gonna try.
I know that Locke gets named a leader of the others at some point, so at a certain point he has to get in good with Ben.
I mean, do you have to get in good with Ben? Because it seems like Richards and Jacob are the ones who appoint the leader.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten any Richard. I'm really excited for when it'll finally reveal who Richard is.
Right, so the first appearance of Richard has happened in the show if you're watching normally, and that is the Juliet flashback. Because
I forgot about that.
Yeah, at first it seems like he is just randomly some guy, but then he shows up with Ethan at the very end, and it's like, oh, he's part of the others. So that's Richard's first introduction as a person.
But that just made it seem like he was
just like one of his minions,
and he kind of is a recruiter, but he's
he's the ultimate recruiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's now been introduced in the show proper, so now you can expect to see him actually doing things.
So maybe he will show up Season 3. I mean, he's at the other's base, I'm sure.
He will. It's not as he has shown up in Season 3, just not.
I mean, yeah, in the present.
Yeah. So there we are. I think.
Well, I'm excited for that then, because that seems more immediate than the freighter.
I will say, don't expect much with him right away. Because
I know
all of the interesting parts of him, they have not decided yet. He is just some guy at this point.
I remember when you told me about how when he sees Child Ben.
That's the first instance of he looks the same as he does now. Maybe that's.
Well, no, but you told me he had this long hair, and it was
I was wrong about that. It was meant to be a thing of that's weird that he looks the same now as when. Ben's 40.
Because you told me.
I was wrong. I was wrong back then. I was wrong.
They were trying to make him look younger.
No, I was just wrong.
Okay. But I mean, I guess I have to wonder, are they going to show that he is a leader in charge of Ben? Or, what? I don't know. We'll see.
The relationship between Richard and whoever the leader is always tenuous. Because, the leader is the one calling the shots, and Richard will usually follow them, but as we've seen in the past, with Eloise and everything, he knocks her out and is like, no, we're not going to do this, because that's what I think we shouldn't do. I'm going to protect the leader, even though it goes against the leader's wishes. It's an interesting dynamic that they have.
Yeah.
So I think that is it for these 2 set of episodes. So I hope you'll join us next time.
They were a great time.
Oh, they were a great time. So I hope you'll join us next time where we will be covering episode 65, December 6th to the 9th. A lot of days there. And episode 66, December 9th to the 10th.